The last component that we'll test is our to-do component. This component has three dependencies: a delete to-do method, an update to-do method, and a to-do object. This component utilizes four methods: handle delete, which we'll call a delete to-do method with the passing to-do ID; handle edit state, which we'll call the set edit method, and sets the state of edit to true or false depending on the current value; handle update new val, which calls the set new val method and updates it with the value passed into the input; and finally handle save, which calls the update to do method, which takes in the to do and the new value that we want to provide to the to do. As you scroll down, you'll also notice that inside of the component we make use of the data test ID attribute. This is a last resort way of selecting elements when you are not able to select elements using get by text or get by label or the other available methods in the testing library. Viewing our to-do component in the resulting HTML of our application, when you type in a to-do and click the Add To-Do button, you get a new row which consists of our newly created to-do that has our text that we typed in, an edit button, and a delete button. If I click on the edit button, then the placeholder is the state of the current value of the to-do. I can update the state and click the save button, and now our to-do is updated with that new value. If I want to delete the to-do, I simply click the delete button and our to-do is removed from the DOM. To start writing tests in our to-do component, first we'll import React, as we'll be using JSX again. We'll import the render method from the React testing library to render our component into the DOM. We'll import the user event from the testing library in order to interact with our component. We'll import the to-do component. And finally, we'll import our render to-dos component. Since we'll be writing multiple tests, I will group everything in a describe block. For our to-do dependency, for our to-do component, I'll create a variable mock to-do, which will be set equal to an object that has an ID and a to-do property that we'll call test to-do. The first assertion that we'll make is to verify that our to-do component can render a to-do object passed into it. I'll create an it block. Should render a to-do object. To start, we'll use the debug method from our rendered result of our component. For the to-do dependency, I'll pass in our mock to-do. And then I'll call the debug method to see the resulting HTML output. Notice that some elements have this data-test ID attribute attached to them. The reason why is for these elements, it was very difficult to select them using the text content or label or other methods available in the testing library. So as a last resort, you can add a data test ID to an element where you're not able to select the element using the other available methods. You can go inside the to-do component and you see the different areas that I've added a data test ID to make it easier to select these elements. So we use the data test ID to select the span that has our passed in to do for our tests. So now what we can do is pull off the get by test ID method. We can create a variable we'll call item name, and we'll set it equal to get by test ID, and we'll pass in item name. We'll save to verify that the element was found, and our test is still passing. So now we can make our final assertion, and we'll say expect item name dot to have text content, and from our mock to do object we'll say mock to do dot to do. We'll save and run our test again, and our test passes. In summary, we verified that our component can render a to-do object by utilizing the get by test ID to select our element with the test ID of item name, and made an assertion that the item name has the text content of our mock to do item.